Hello, I'm James Ezimoha. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. African Union aircraft carrying 8 personnel crashes at Mogadishu International Airport. Thousands of rape survivors in the Democratic Republic of Congo left without life-saving medication following US aid cuts. South African factory workers fear job loss as car manufacturing company cuts 20,000 jobs globally. An African Union military helicopter crashed at Mogadishu's airport on Tuesday, bursting into flames upon landing. The aircraft was carrying 8 personnel as part of the AU peacekeeping mission. Authorities have not yet confirmed if there were any casualties. A correspondent has more details.
It's believed the Ugandan military helicopter burst into flames as it tried to land at the Aden Ade airport in Somalia's capital. There are reports that eyewitnesses heard a loud blast before seeing flames and smoke coming from the aircraft. The fire was put out by emergency services at the scene. A Ugandan army spokesperson has ruled out any form of foul play but confirmed that a team has been dispatched to Somalia to investigate the cause of the crash. The head of Somalia's Civil Aviation Authority has also said they will be carrying out an investigation as well. Uganda is part of the African Union peacekeeping force in Somalia and has played an active role since 2007. The aircraft was returning from an escort mission in the area. Isabel Nakiria, News in Kampala.
Aid workers in eastern Congo say thousands of rape survivors have been left without life-saving medication. That's after the US cancelled a major contract to deliver emergency kits just as violence surged in the region.
The US has cancelled a key contract meant to deliver emergency post-rape kits to eastern Congo, where violence and sexual assaults have surged. The kits included HIV prevention drugs and emergency contraception. The cut followed a freeze on foreign aid under President Trump's administration. Aid groups say it's left thousands of survivors without care. Survivors say the lack of timely treatment is putting their lives and health at risk.
I was asleep when they entered my house and started taking my belongings, rice that we grow. They blindfolded me with a scarf. I didn't see them. Since the day I was raped, I started having discharge, like pus on my genitals, with a very bad smell. That's how my child brought me here to receive care. I was ashamed to talk to the doctor because I have children. The doctor then gave me medication for raped women, which I must take for 10 days.
Health workers say missing the treatment window can lead to irreversible consequences.
There are many consequences because if the victim doesn't receive preventive medication within 48 hours, it will have repercussions on her life and health. She can develop sexually transmitted infections, as we said, including HIV, viral hepatitis B, viral hepatitis C, and even pregnancy.
Le VIH, hépatite virale B, hépatite virale C.
UNFPA, the UN's reproductive health agency, says it's racing to cover the shortfall, but funding is scarce.
There has been an estimated 50% reduction in service provision. This is due to the funding cuts we experienced at the beginning of the year in the DRC. The biggest impacts are seen with post-rape kits because there was a major contract with an NGO that played a central role in the coordination mechanisms. The other organisations provided complementary support. So now that this NGO is gone, we have to fill the gap it left behind.
The UN says only a fraction of rape survivors now receive the medical help they need. It's appealing to private donors and Western nations to urgently raise $35 million to prevent further suffering and deaths in one of the world's most dangerous conflict zones.
Uganda has overtaken Ethiopia to become Africa's leading coffee exporter, posting a historic surge in shipments last month. The government says quality improvements and policy support are key, but experts warn that tougher standards will be needed to keep pace with international standards.
Uganda shipped over 47,000 tons of coffee in May, raking in $243 million and outpacing Ethiopia for the first time. That's nearly 800,000 bags, up 43% from the same period last year. Officials credit better quality controls and increased investment in disease-resistant varieties. But to sustain growth, Uganda must meet strict European market standards, which account for 2/3 of its exports.
We have a good budget supporting the National Coffee Research Institute for this term, and so we should be having very good planting material that is disease resistant. So you have something like, they call it CWD, coffee with disease resistant, and they have developed, I think, 10 varieties. They call them KR, Kituza Robusta, KR from 1 to 10. So these are really nice.
Analysts say Uganda's small producers must improve standards if the country hopes to maintain its lead.
The issues of aggregation. So many farmers all over the whole place. What's the aggregation process to make sure those things come through? We need to work on standards. You're not going to sell out when your standards are poor. That's extremely, extremely important. Then we also need to help the many SMEs, which are about 80 or 90% of our production in Uganda and trade, to make sure that they comply with those international standards.
Uganda's coffee roadmap aims for 20 million bags annually by 2030. But with Europe setting high benchmarks, sustaining its export lead will depend on consistently meeting global quality demands.
Algeria's long-running Green Dam project is gaining new attention as it transforms into a national campaign to combat desertification. Once a top-down initiative, the program now uses advanced monitoring and even artificial intelligence to protect ecosystems along the Sahara's edge.
Launched in the 1970s, Algeria's Green Dam project set out to halt the Sahara Desert's northward spread by planting millions of trees. Today, it has helped revive over 300,000 hectares of degraded land. Faced with worsening climate pressures, authorities have expanded the initiative. However, farmers say sand encroachment continues to destroy roads and crops, threatening entire livelihoods.
Sand encroachment and desertification are a major problem we face in Algeria, especially in the areas bordering the Sahara. Sometimes we lose all our crop and even the roads leading to them due to this phenomenon.
Researchers say planting trees isn't enough unless deeper environmental imbalances are addressed.
I believe the problem is not a large-scale afforestation campaign, but rather a permanent, continuous and scientific policy that balances all factors that can contribute to preserving the vegetation cover from sand encroachment. Among these factors is unplanned livestock grazing, for example, which is itself is a major problem today, as pastures are in a state of extreme deterioration.
Algeria plans to expand forest cover to nearly 5 million hectares by 2030, with 400,000 hectares reforested by 2026. But as desert pressures grow, the success of the Green Dam may hinge on how deeply science, policy and local action continue to align.
Japanese car maker Nissan may shut down several global plants, including one in South Africa, as it cuts 20,000 jobs worldwide. The South African factory has been key to the company's operations for decades, but its future now hangs in the balance.
Operations at Nissan's Roslyn plant continue as normal as it waits for word on its future. The site could be one of 7 facing the chop as the Japanese automaker faces a financial crunch.
They are still obviously waiting for confirmation from their global principals, and they will obviously inform us once they are ready to be able to tell us what's happening. But obviously, I think it is absolutely clear that Nissan globally will be rationalizing its operations, and whether South Africa is going to be impacted directly or not, I think that jury is still out.
Nissan has been part of South Africa's automotive landscape for over 60 years. First as an assembly plant in 1963, then going into full-scale production in 1973, and has since seen many iconic brands roll off the production line, the latest being the Navara. Analysts say it has been a casualty of its own failures. Nissan took the lead in the electric vehicles with the Leaf, but has fallen behind its competitors.
Not all the legacy automakers are joining the EV revolution, if I can call it that. And if they don't keep up with the changes, then they will lose out. I mean, they are all losing sales at the moment. And the Chinese vehicle manufacturers that are really into this now are gaining ground. I mean, BYD is the biggest automotive manufacturer in the world now. And you would have never said that a few years back.
While a possible closure will temporarily set the industry back, it could pave the way for new investment.
That's all we have today in Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.